Hello, everybody, and welcome to the, gosh, I guess this is the fourth town hall series that we're running. Behind me is a list of helpful links, and I'll get out of the way here soon so that if you want to take those URLs down, we have a bunch of questions and answers and a bunch of other resources for you. You can find those after I get out of the way. Today's session, we're going to have 45 minutes of straight questions and answers for you folks. You guys can ask your questions. We have a bunch of questions that we got through email that we'll probably start out with. If you use the Q&A feature, it's right down at the bottom of your screen, probably about the middle. You might have to hover your mouse over it a little bit, but when that pops up, there's a little Q&A button. If you click that, it'll allow you to ask questions. So put your questions in there. We'll try to get to all the questions that we can today during our time. If we don't get to your question, we will do our best to try to summarize questions that are similar and make them and answer them so that it answers everybody's questions. Your question may not appear on the questions form that we send back to you. We're going to send those back to you at the address you used to register for this webinar. We're also going to post them on the virtual town hall page, which is again behind me. But they may be a little bit different than you asked them because it might be combined with 7 or 8 other people's questions that were very similar. We'll get those as soon as we can after this is over. We'll also have the recording of this again on that town hall page. And we'll also email that to you when we're done. So thanks for joining us. Today we have Amy from the claims. She's a claims supervisor, and Lori, she's our payment control supervisor, both from the UI division, both very knowledgeable about UI and the things that we need to do to help you guys out. And so they'll be able to answer your questions. And I guess we'll just jump right in here because you guys are here to ask questions and have them answered. So I'm going to start it out with the first question. To summarize several questions, we've had a lot of people ask how long it takes to be approved for PUA. We also understand the first correspondence claimants get will be a form that says they're denied UI benefits, a B9N form, and they shouldn't be alarmed by this. All claims must be checked to see if they qualify for regular UI benefits, and if they don't, their claims are checked for PUI eligibility. That said, how long does it take between the time a person files for PUA and the time they get their B9N form, and then how much longer until they get the PUA 25 form that says that they're eligible for the PUA? Lori or Amy?
All right. So this is going to be an average amount of time. There are a couple of steps on our side. Once the claim has been filed, we have to determine whether or not the individual is eligible for regular unemployment. Once we make that decision, if they are not eligible for regular unemployment, a second step happens where we will determine their eligibility for PUA. So the B9N would go out in the mail probably within a couple of days of filing for the regular unemployment claim. After that, I would say it takes a couple of days for us to get the work item to resolve the PUA application. I would give us roughly a week to send that PUA 25 letter out in the mail. And again, that's a very rough estimate.
Thank you, appreciate that. The next question is another summary of multiple questions. My unemployment benefits have been expended. I know there's supposed to be a 13-week extension, but I'm not sure what I need to do now. First part of this is, do I need to reapply? There are several parts of this, so I'll ask these, and if you need me to go back and readdress them, I can. Do I need to reapply? Is there a process I need to do to receive the extension? Is there an expected timeline for the PEUC to be available? And can I apply for PUA instead of waiting for the PEUC?
All right, so I'm going to do my best to remember all of those. For PEUC, yes, you will have to reapply once that program is available. It is an entirely separate program, and we don't just roll people over into it. I do not have an updated time frame of when that will be available. We are currently programming it and doing our best to get that out there as fast as we can. Check for updates on the wyomingworkforce.org website. We will have the news media outlets let everybody know as soon as it is available. And no, PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, is not a substitute for the extension. To be eligible for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, the individual has to be unemployed, but for a reason that is directly related to COVID-19, and that is not always the case with our individuals that have simply exhausted their benefits.
Thank you. Appreciate that. The next question is, I'm an independent contractor. Because of COVID-19, I had to stop working since March 9th. I'm not qualified to apply for regular UI. I want to apply for PUA, but I've not found the website yet. I'm a resident alien in Cheyenne.
All right. Yes, this individual would be more than welcome to apply for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. It doesn't matter that the individual is a resident alien. That's okay. They have the right to work here in the United States. And the website is wyui.wyo.gov, or they can go on to wyomingworkforce.org, and there's a link to get to our website.
Thank you. And that, again, that website, that wyui.wyo.gov, it's on the screen right now. That's the online portal for all unemployment claims, correct? Whether they're regular UI or PUA or anything else.
Absolutely. That is going to be the same website that they will use to apply for any of our programs and to certify their weekly continued claims for payment.
Excellent. Can you clarify how PUA benefits work? Does it include the extra $600 a week like everyone else? And do we have to do work searches every week?
All right, so that extra $600 a week goes across every single program that we have, whether that be regular unemployment, pandemic unemployment assistance, or an extension. So the extra $600 is already there. They do not have to apply for that separately. That $600 will only cover weeks filed between March 29th and July 25th of this year. As far as work searches go with the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, that requirement has been waived at this point in time by the Department of Labor.
Great, thank you. What happens if we get denied PUA? Can we appeal it? And if so, how long will that take? I'm a life insurance agent. I've been denied for regular unemployment. During the week, I work on training and education with my upline. I'm not sure what that means, which I consider still working, but I'm not making any money for that. I have applied for PUA and come to find out today I was denied for that as well. I'm still working on education and training and also working with my old clients if they need assistance with policies that are already in place. I'm not working, just doing training. What do I do?
All right, yeah, anyone is more than welcome to appeal the decision to deny benefits, whether that be for regular unemployment or the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. They would need to fill out the back of the PUA 25 form and turn that back in, either by mail or fax. They are also able to file an appeal online at wyui.wyo.gov. As far as the length of time it takes for an appeal to be set up, I unfortunately am not sure of that. That's a different, separate division. But we are getting to those I know that appeals is getting to those as quickly as they can, and first in, first set up for an appeal.
Thank you. Are benefits based on annual income or highest quarter? My income is highly seasonal, dependent on the tourism cycle.
So for regular unemployment to be eligible, the individual has to have 2 quarters of wages in the year that we're looking at for the base period, and that is a revolving time frame. It changes every quarter. Right now it happens to be the calendar year of 2019 for both the regular UI program and the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. But to be eligible for regular unemployment, again, there has to be 2 quarters of wages with a minimum of $3,800 total in that whole year that we're looking at. And we look at the highest quarter in that base period, the individual has to have 1.4 times that highest quarter wages in the whole year that we're looking at. And sometimes with seasonal workers, they don't meet that requirement. So if an individual is not monetarily eligible for regular unemployment, but they are directly unemployed due to COVID, they could apply for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. The minimum on that program is $193. The maximum on both programs is $508. And truly, for regular unemployment, the highest quarter is what we use to determine the weekly benefit amount.
Great, thank you. How do I change my password? It asks me for security answers, and I answered correctly, but then it locks me out for 24 hours.
As far as changing a password, anyone can email us. We have a direct email just for password resets, for PINs and passwords. They can also call us. Unfortunately, there is a wait time on the phones. I would highly recommend going online to request a PIN or a password reset. And there is a separate website for that that's out there on, you're going to show it to us, I think, that's out there on wyomingworkforce.org.
And I have that up on the screen right now, if you can see it. It's, you send an email to dwscspui.benefits@wyo.gov and include your name, last 4 digits of your social security number, and your phone number, and they'll get that password reset for you. Is that correct?
That is, thank you.
Yep, and that's right there on our homepage at wyomingworkforce.org. Next question. I run a daycare and I was told that I exceed my wage. I got approved through PUA for $193 and I make $250 a week because I need to care for an essential worker's children. I've been losing over $750 every week from kids that I usually watch. Why am I not eligible for the extra $600? And that's the FPUC, I believe she's talking about with that.
Correct. So all of these extra programs for the CARES Act, whether that be the extra $600 FPUC program, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, they are driven, or what do I want to say, they're regulated by the U.S. Department of Labor. They tell us the guidelines that we have to follow, and the extra $600 is only payable for weeks where the individual is eligible to receive regular unemployment or the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. If they're not eligible for the regular amount, they cannot have that $600. And there are requirements that the individual has to be unemployed to collect benefits. There are 2 things that we look at. We look at the amount of hours that they are spending working every week, if they're working part-time or full-time, and we also look at the amount that they are earning. And if they are working full-time, or if they are earning more, the same as or more than their regular benefit amount, they're not eligible for unemployment at all for that week.
I have a follow-up on that one. It looks to me like because the PUA benefit is $193, that's the minimum under the PUA. Would it be possible that this person could possibly show higher normal earnings to get a higher base under that PUA that would exceed the $250 and then qualify for unemployment insurance and the FPUC payment, because the base pay would be more than $250? How would that work? What would she need to do to prove that income lost to make the PUA payment higher?
What we would need would be proof of income earned in the calendar year of 2019. There is a document out on wyomingworkforce.org that lists all of the documents that are acceptable for proof of income in 2019. And yes, there is a potential that that would raise the weekly benefit amount from the minimum to a higher number. We look at the same requirements on pandemic unemployment assistance to calculate the benefit amount above the minimum. There have to be 2 different quarters of wages. There has to be 1.4 times the highest quarter of wages, and then we would use that highest quarter to calculate the amount. So if that person wants to send in their proof, we will review it and see if we can increase that amount.
Thank you. And that document she was referring to here, or at least some of the documents, are on our frequently asked questions page at wyomingworkforce.org/COVID-19 resources/FAQ, or you can find it on a link from the homepage. And it has the information about the documents that are acceptable and then how to send those in. So those are all available right there on our frequently asked questions page, which you can get to from our homepage right here with the frequently asked questions tab. Now I need to go back and find my questions again. I have received a PUA 25 correspondence letter via the YUI website, and money has been deposited into my bank account. Is there anything else I need to do? I thought I read somewhere I would need to send in paperwork once I was accepted for PUA, but I cannot find any information now. Also, can I just email these documents instead of mailing or faxing them? And I think we just covered that on that frequently asked questions page. But if there's anything more that needs to be addressed, please please do so.
You're correct. Yeah, we do need proof of income. Anything that was not already provided by an employer, so self-employment, contract work, gig work, we need that proof of income. And also make sure that you are filing your weekly continued claims for payment every week. You have 14 days to turn those in timely. As soon as the calendar week is over, you will not receive payment if you do not turn those in timely.
Also, when you send in your proof of earnings, we would like you to send that in with the PUA 25 form so that that can be properly addressed and sent to your account, documented to your account. So that PUA 25 should be printed out and sent along with your source documents for the proof of earnings.
Thank you. My regular unemployment has been exhausted as of 5/5/2020. I have a job with the National Park Service that was supposed to start April 13th and now is postponed until June 7th. Do I keep submitting my claim as usual since the CARES Act adds more weeks, or do I need to apply for pandemic unemployment assistance or something else?
At this point in time, I would recommend that that individual go ahead and put in an application for the pandemic unemployment assistance. And it's okay that they've already filed for all those weeks. If they are eligible for the pandemic unemployment assistance, the program may go back and cover those weeks that have already been submitted.
Thank you. When filing the initial claim, you get to a question that asks if my employer is planning to call me back to work within 12 weeks. If I'm self-employed in a business that is under forced closure, how would I answer that?
That question is actually a part of the regular unemployment claim application to see if an individual is job attached. And the purpose of that is to exempt an individual from having to register for work or seek work with other employers. That is not even relevant for the pandemic unemployment assistance program if If the individual is self-employed, I would answer no to that question and move on.
Thank you. We've seen a few of these questions along the line. What does it mean by issue on file, and what does the claimant need to do if they have an issue on file in their claim?
When it says issue on file, what that means is that we are investigating something in regards to the claim, whether that be from the initial application or a weekly continued claim for payment. And until that has been investigated, no action will be taken. We have to see if they are eligible to receive those payments. Once that has been done, the individual will be able to see on their online account that that status has changed. If it is allowed, they will see that the payment has been processed, and if it was denied, they would see in their correspondence the reason why.
Thank you. So the claimant doesn't need to do anything necessarily unless they're contacted to answer those questions. That all happens on the back end. Is that correct?
The individual would need to be available to answer any questions. They very well may receive a phone call from us to gather clarifying information, and that time is of the essence. So if anybody from the unemployment office is calling, please answer that call right away so that we can take care of any issues on file. And if you receive any documentation from us for clarifying information, turn it in as soon as possible.
Thank you. My claim still shows scheduled for processing after receiving determination letter. How long does it take, and when do they do the deposits?
With the new PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance application in our system, what happens is all of the weekly certifications for prior weeks are gathered on the initial claim, but they are not actually processed until the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance claim has been processed. So they will sit out there and say scheduled for processing until all those steps have been completed. Just please have patience with us, sit tight, and keep watching for a status update. When you receive the PUA 25 document, you'll know that everything has been taken care of and we're moving forward.
Thank you. Can you have an insufficient wage claim under the pandemic unemployment?
No, you cannot. There is a minimum amount of $193 a week. However, we do have a small hiccup in our system that we are working on. There are a few individuals that were paid on some pandemic unemployment assistance, and then the most recent week is showing that there's insufficient funds. So please be patient with us there. We are working with our IT department to fix that as soon as possible.
Thank you. And I know that IT department is working really hard to do a lot of things at this time. I submitted a claim and received a B9N form, which was expected as I was an independent contractor. But upon checking the website for any updates in my account section under File PUA Claim, it says this: System detected unfinished claim application. Claimant has to finish filing claim application. Does this mean my initial UI claim was incomplete, or does the application contain an error of some sort? Or is this a system error not relating to my specific claim?
That is a system error as well, and what we have found internally that is working to go around it is to try and reactivate a claim underneath the continued claim screen and then go back in and file for the pandemic unemployment assistance. And if that does not work, please give us a call and our staff will try and walk through it with you so that we can resolve the issue.
Thank you. Can someone who had previously lost a job be eligible for the $600 funding because they cannot find one due to employers not hiring, pulling job announcements, or canceling interviews, opting to wait and see what happens? How does someone apply for this funding?
In order to receive the additional $600, the individual will have to be eligible for regular unemployment, pandemic unemployment assistance, or the extension.
I'm self-employed, but I filed for unemployment and was denied through the regular system. Will that affect my application under the PUA? And the way I understand it, that's actually how the process works, correct? If they're denied for regular, they then go into the PUA?
Exactly. And being self-employed, those are our main individuals that are applying for the pandemic unemployment assistance. And again, it just has to be due to COVID-19.
Okay, and then to clarify a little bit on that one, if somebody applied before May 1 when we had the PUA system up and running and was denied, do they need to go back in and reapply now, or will their information still be there and just automatically go through as a PUA claim?
They will need to go back in and reapply. Anything that happened prior to May 1st when that application was available will not be rolled over into the pandemic unemployment assistance.
Thank you. It's my understanding that the $600 payments are retroactive to March. I applied late for unemployment because I'm 1099 this year and thought I had to wait until April 28th to apply, even though I stopped working early in March, not realizing that I qualify for regular unemployment, which I started receiving last week, but I've not received any retroactive payments. And I think
I would recommend that individual reach out to us so that we can investigate and see what happened.
Okay. And by reaching out to you, that's calling the main number, the 307. Sorry, I'm blanking on the number.
It's 473-3789, and yes, that's how they'll have to get a hold of us so that we can investigate it.
Thank you. Is there a difference between an independent contractor and self-employed in the system? There are references to both terms on the website.
As far as our system goes, they are all treated the same. Self-employed, contract worker, gig worker. There's no way to differentiate between one or the other.
Thank you. And they would all be applying for the PUA, as I understand it.
Correct.
For independent contractors, if they're paid in cash and not through a traditional payroll system and do not receive a 1099 form, what type of income verification would they provide for the PUA?
They could potentially, I guess, go out and look at the list that is on the wyomingworkforce.org for acceptable proof of income. And if they have any of those, send them in. I believe bank statements are listed on there. If they do not have proof, then they would be at the minimum amount of $193 a week.
All right, thank you. And I'm going back again to that frequently asked question with those documents on there. And a tax return from last year would be acceptable, correct?
Correct.
All right. Can you please explain what it means when it says, as long as the weekly benefit amount is at least $1 in regards to the extra $600, anyone that's approved for unemployment benefits or PUA will get at least $1 of benefits. So does that mean everyone is eligible to receive the $600?
If they are eligible to receive the regular payment for any of the programs, regular unemployment, pandemic unemployment assistance, or the extension, then yes, that $600 is going to be paid on top of that, but they have to be eligible for the regular program for that week.
The other thing to mention, you definitely have to report any earnings during that week. So if you have earned more than half of your weekly benefit amount, we're going to be subtracting that benefit amount from that benefit amount dollar for dollar, and that's where you would get a difference where your normal regular unemployment amount would be less than the weekly benefit amount, and you could get down to close to $1. It's the earnings that would change that weekly benefit amount. Again, reporting earnings is very important. We will be auditing that kind of information. If you do not report your earnings correctly, it can be considered fraud.
And as far as reporting earnings, when it is from an employer-employee relationship, that needs to be the gross amount. If it's from self-employment, it needs to be the net amount after you subtract the expenses. And self-employment is deducted dollar for dollar, even if it's less than half of the benefit amount.
Thank you for that clarification. This is a summary of multiple questions. Should people wait to submit income documentation until asked, or can they submit it when they submit their unemployment claim for PUA? And as an extra piece of this, do I need to be reporting anything to you weekly? I think you just touched on that piece of it.
As far as the proof of wages go, please send that in after you have received the PUA 25 form so that you can send it in along with that form. We need the barcode on that form to correctly tie the information back to each individual's account and to show that we received that proof so we do not drop their benefit amount and put them into an overpayment. And yes, absolutely, every single individual needs to file their weekly certification, their weekly continued claim for payment, or they will not be paid.
Thank you. And then again on the reporting of the wages, you mentioned earlier that you need to report that income every week, whether it exceeds the benefit or not, and that if you don't report the income, it could be fraud. And I think it's important to note that the PUA and the FPUC, those are federal funds, so that's a federal agency that would be looking into that, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, this is another summary of several questions. If a claimant is unemployed due to COVID-19, either job attached, self-employed, an independent contractor, or others, they do not have to complete work searches or be registered in Wyoming at work, correct? If that's the case, but they keep seeing questions in the continued claims form asking about their work searches, can they ignore that? Or do they need to do something to make that question stop coming up?
Because we have all of the programs in the same system, the requirements are not the same for every individual that's filing for unemployment. With the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, the requirement to seek work has been waived. That is a mandatory field on the continued claim, so they need to answer it truthfully. If they had 0 work searches, put 0 and go on to the next screen. If the individual is not job attached, not union attached, otherwise not exempt from seeking work on regular unemployment, they do need to be seeking work. They need to be registered for work, and it's a minimum of 2 work searches with 2 different employers, 2 contacts with 2 different employers every single week.
Thank you. After filing an initial claim, my account shows the claim is scheduled for processing. It's been about 3 to 4 business days now. How long does this process normally take?
I believe we answered that one earlier. As far as the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program goes, those weeks are submitted on the initial claim application, but nothing will be processed until we actually have the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance claim in the system. And so I would recommend waiting, checking back, daily. Hopefully it will take about a week.
Thank you. What if a person is working full-time still? Does that cancel out everything else, even if their wage that they're earning is much, much lower than normal?
If an individual is employed full-time, they are not unemployed. They are not eligible for any of our programs, even if their dollar amount has been reduced in in their work. And that's unfortunate that their dollar amount has been reduced, but unemployment is not available to them.
Thank you. This question kind of takes us back to that filing the documentation for wages for income. If they've already sent the tax forms in without a determination letter, do they need to resend it?
No, we have been setting those aside and going through. We will find the correct form to tie it with. Don't send it back in a second time, please.
Thank you. In the initial application, the questionnaire asked if I traveled more than 2 days for a purpose other than work. I answered no, but the response came back as yes with no days listed because I didn't list any. Why does the form not accept no for an answer? And what does this question mean? And what is it you're trying to determine with it?
I apologize for that. That was a defect in the system. Thankfully, it has been fixed, and the system is correctly tracking all answers that the claimant provides at this point in time.
Thank you. Our business has the PPP loan until mid-June. Can the employees apply for the PUA after that, or just regular unemployment if we need to let workers go if there's no work?
The individual would file for either program. It depends on what they are eligible for. Some of those individuals will be eligible for regular unemployment, and the others will need to fall back on pandemic unemployment assistance if they're separated due to COVID.
Thank you. And then to clarify on that, they would apply for either regular unemployment or PUA at the same site at wyui.wyo.gov, correct?
Exactly. And it is truly one application. If they have not filed yet, they will go down one path and it covers both programs.
Perfect. Thank you. I've been trying to get through to someone to ask questions on how to apply for the COVID-19 unemployment. I was turned down for regular unemployment due to using up my benefits. I started my new job in February. We were temporarily laid off due to COVID-19 because we're a daycare facility. Can you please go over how to apply and if I'd be qualified?
There are two different ways to apply for benefits. Online is the best way, I think. Again, the website is up there on the screen, wyui.wyo.gov. You can also file over the phone. There is a wait time, unfortunately, just because of how busy we are, but we get to everybody as fast as we can. So there are those two different ways to apply. If the individual is in the state of Wyoming, they can also go to one of our local offices, one of the local workforce centers, and they can assist them with applying.
Thank you. My latest workplace is paying me until the end of the school year, a lower amount than regular pay. What's the best way to claim that money and under which specification?
I'm not sure I understand the question. It depends on if the individual is still working full-time and just earning less, or if their hours have been reduced and that's why they're earning less. Because if their hours have been reduced and they are earning less than what they would qualify for on unemployment, they could open up an unemployment claim.
Thank you. I've sent in an email to get a PIN a couple of days ago. When will I receive the PIN? I gave my last name, social security number, and phone number and sent it to that email address.
They should have already been notified. I would recommend submitting another email. We are caught up on those and responding to them, I would say, within a day or two. So if they've not heard from us, go ahead and either call us or go back online and submit another request for that. And we will call to give you that PIN.
Thank you. Yeah, so that'll be a phone call from DWS to you. And that, again, that email address, I believe, is dwscspui.benefits@wyo.gov, and it's on the top of the homepage at wyomingworkforce.org. If restrictions,
And I would,
well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would recommend that everybody make sure that their phone is turned on, that they're always around it, so that if we do call, that they will answer. We will not leave a pin on a voicemail, so please pick up any calls that come from the Department of Workforce Services.
Excellent point. Thank you. We're getting close to the 45 minutes that we have allotted for this, so we've got time for a few more questions. I'm going to reiterate that we're going to try to summarize these questions as best we can so that we don't duplicate answers, and email those back to you at the email address you provided to register for this webinar. We'll also have them posted on the virtual town hall series page, which is the second one up from the bottom on the screen right now. We've got the questions and answers and the recordings from the other town halls already posted on that page if you want to go back and take a look at those. We also have all of our frequently asked questions. Some of these questions will probably make it to that frequently asked questions page. If you have any questions, check that page first, and it may answer your questions. We're going to try to do one of these town halls every week. Some of them are focused on businesses, some of them focused on claimants. They all have a different focus, but we'll try to get to your questions as best we can and answer them in the best way we can. I'm gonna give you one more question here, and if we have time, we'll do another one. But this question is: if restrictions get lifted, and I'm able to go back to work, and homeschooling is done for the summer, but my child care provider is in the at-risk category and isn't going to be available till August 1st, would PUA still cover me?
You know, that's a great question. That is one that we will have to look at on a case-by-case basis. We've got specific guidelines from the U.S. Department of Labor that we have to follow, and the rules for these programs are a little bit different than for regular unemployment. So truly, I do not have an answer as a yes or no right now. We would have to investigate and look at everything.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. Do you have to submit a 2019 tax return only for PUA, or are other years acceptable, such as 2018?
It has to be 2019. That is the base period for this program.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I think that's all we have time for today, but as I said, we're going to try to collect these questions and summarize them as best we can and provide those questions back to you. They may not look the same as you ask them when you look at the questions and answers, because they may get reworded a little bit so that it covers multiple questions, multiple people who ask roughly the same question, but hopefully the answers will be helpful to you. We'll get those out to you. We'll put them up on the Town Hall series page. Thank you for tuning in. We have a whole bunch of questions that came in over the question and answer function. We've got a bunch more that came in through email. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll do everything we can to help you out. And thanks for joining us. And until next time, best of luck to you, and we'll get through this together. Thank you.